Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to another video. Do you remember the Royal Kludge RK84? Yeah, I may have mentioned it too many times on this channel, but that's because I think it's one of the best keyboards to ever exist. It's got 3 modes of connectivity, it's hot swappable, it has a removable frame, it's got 2 USB ports at the back, and it's really affordable. The only problem is, it sounds horrible. That is why I need to mod it so I no longer have to endure the dreadful sound while I'm using it for work. First, I remove the frame, then I remove all of the keycaps. And you can see how dirty that is with all that hair and dirt. I have no idea how all that hair got in there. Then I remove all of the switches because I'm going to replace them with lubed ones. Then I use my trusty electric screwdriver to remove the 6 screws on the plate. After that, I just have to pull it out of the keyboard case and detach these 2 wires from the PCB. Now I can remove the stabilizers from the plate. This one is for the spacebar. This is the left shift. This is for the enter key. And this one is for the backspace. For the first mod, I'm gonna put some of the leftover Killmat car noise dampener I used in my previous video, the Keychron Q2. I just had to measure and cut it using the plate. Then I poke holes where the screws are gonna go and make 2 more holes so the wires can go through the noise dampener. Just flatten everything out and pull the wires as far as it can go. Now I'm going to mod the PCB with the Tempest mod using this masking tape. I just cut and put 2 layers of masking tape under the PCB and try to avoid all the ports and switches. This will make the keyboard sound better and give a smoother typing experience. For the next mod, I'm gonna put 2 thin sheets of PE foam. I just cut it to size and put it between the plate and the PCB. After assembling the keyboard, I realized I had to cut off the parts of the PE foam where the stabilizers would go. I had to remove all the keycaps and the switches just to cut them off. After cutting the PE foam to size, I just poke holes where the screws will go and screw in the 5 screws that go under the PCB to screw the PCB and the plate together. And this is what it looks like after all the mods. Now I can reassemble the board. I had to connect the wires of the board under the PCB. If it lights up after connecting, you'll know that it works. Then I screwed back in all of the 6 screws that I removed earlier to open the keyboard. Then I poked holes on the foam where the switches would go, and so the switches can easily go through the foam once I mount them. Now for the stabilizers. I got the Durock plate-mounted stabilizers to replace the stock stabilizers of the RK84. I already had them lubed and wholly modded when I purchased them, and this is what it looks like after installing the stabilizers. Now it's time for the switches. I got the Acco Vintage Whites. I do have to lube them first, and it took me a total of 6 hours lubing 90 switches by myself. To lube them, I just open it up with a switch opener, separate the top housing, the stem, the spring, and the bottom housing. I put them all in different containers and made sure that no piece will be lost in the process. For the bottom housing, I just dabbed a bit of lube on the sides, around that little circle in the middle, and a little bit inside the circle. Then I place it back and just do that to all the bottom switches. To lube the springs, I just put some lube on the container, put a lid on it, and shake it to my heart's content. Then I just put it on the lubed bottom switches and do that to all the springs as well. To lube the stem, I just hold it with this stem holder, dab some lube on the front, put some lube on the back, on the sides, and just brush it all to spread the lube equally. Then I put lube in the inside of the stem and brush the whole stem itself. I gently place it on top of the springs and did that to all the stems. Now I can close all the switches using the top housing because the top housing doesn't need to be lubed. After 6 hours of lubing, I can now install the switches on the keyboard, and as you can see, the switches go through the 2 thin sheets of foam like nothing. And this is how it's gonna look like after all the mods and installing stabilizers and the switches. Now it's time for the best part of modding keyboards, mounting the keycaps. For the keycaps, I got the KBD Fans Dark Knight Jap. For the keycaps, I got the KBD Fans Dark Knight Japanese keycap set. While installing the keycaps, I got really pumped because it was starting to look and sound so good. And this is what the keyboard looks like with the KBD Fans Dark Knight Japanese keycaps installed. I spray painted the frame of the keyboard to make it match the keycaps. You won't be able to see the white part of the bottom of the keyboard when the frame is installed anyway. Now it's time for a comparison of how it sounds stock and modded. That sounds so good, and it's so different from when it wasn't modded. Now I don't have to endure that dreadful sound while I'm working. That's it for me and the Royal Kludge RK84. This will probably be the last time I mention it on this channel. If you learned something, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and see you on the next video.